My beloved child, there are things I protected you from that you still do not fully understand. There were dangers surrounding your life that your human eyes never recognized. Battles were unfolding behind the scenes, while you continued moving through ordinary days, unaware of how close certain situations came to harming you. You thought some moments were coincidence. You thought certain outcomes were random. You thought you simply got lucky. But heaven intervened. Again and again, you survived things you never even knew were coming. There were conversations happening behind closed doors that could have destroyed your peace if I had allowed them to unfold differently. There were people whose intentions toward you were not as pure as they appeared. There were traps hidden beneath opportunities you desperately wanted. There were emotional collapses, spiritual attacks, and moments of danger that came far closer to you than you realize. But I stood between you and destruction. Even during the seasons when you doubted my presence, I was still guarding your path. My beloved, you often measure protection only by what hurts you. But true protection is often invisible because it prevents pain before it ever reaches you. You only saw the closed door. I saw the disaster behind it. You only saw the delayed opportunity. I saw the exhaustion it would have created. You only saw the relationship ending. I saw the damage it would eventually bring to your spirit. And because my love for you runs deeper than your understanding, I intervened quietly. Even when you became angry with me, even when you questioned my timing, even when disappointment made you feel forgotten, I never stopped protecting you. Listen closely now, because this next truth matters deeply. You were closer to destruction than you realize. There were moments your emotional exhaustion became so intense that the enemy hoped you would completely surrender to hopelessness. There were nights where fear tried to consume your mind so heavily that you almost believed the lies being whispered against your future. The enemy wanted your spirit to collapse under pressure. He wanted your confidence destroyed. He wanted your purpose buried beneath discouragement. And there were also physical dangers you never recognized. Delays that frustrated you, protected you from unseen harm. Certain instincts I placed inside you redirected your path without you understanding why. There were moments where my hand moved circumstances quietly to keep you alive, protected, and moving toward your assignment. You thought you were simply changing plans, but heaven was preserving your future. My beloved child, there are times when spiritual warfare becomes intense, precisely because your life carries purpose. The enemy does not fight empty destinies so aggressively. The pressure increased around you because something valuable exists inside your spirit. Your calling threatened darkness long before you understood it yourself. That is why the battles felt unusually heavy at times. That is why fear targeted your mind so relentlessly. That is why discouragement tried to convince you that your life carried no meaning. But the very intensity of the attack revealed the importance of your assignment. And still, through every hidden battle, I remained beside you. For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. Psalm 91:11. My beloved, you are more protected than you realize. Not because life will never contain hardship, but because I remain sovereign even in the middle of warfare. There were angels assigned to your protection during seasons you felt completely alone. There were moments my presence surrounded you while your mind was too exhausted to sense it clearly. There were dangers diverted quietly without your awareness. And one day, when heaven reveals the full story of your life, you will finally understand how many times I rescued you without announcing it publicly. You will understand why certain plans failed unexpectedly, why certain delays happened, why some people disappeared suddenly, why your spirit felt warnings you could not explain logically. I was guiding you away from destruction long before your eyes could recognize it. My child, I know there were moments where you felt cursed because nothing seemed to go the way you expected. But some frustrations were actually forms of protection. Some unanswered prayers became the very reason you survived emotionally, spiritually, and even physically. You judged the moment by temporary disappointment, but heaven judged it by eternal preservation. Listen carefully now. This next part matters deeply. The enemy hoped isolation would weaken you permanently, but isolation strengthened your discernment. The enemy hoped fear would silence your purpose, but fear pushed you closer to my voice. The enemy hoped heartbreak would harden your spirit completely, but instead it deepened your compassion. Every attack was meant to destroy you, but I transformed those battles into preparation. That is why you are still here, still standing, still breathing, still searching for truth even after everything you endured. Do not underestimate the miracle of your survival, my beloved child. There were seasons where your emotional wounds became so deep that many people would have completely lost themselves. Yet somehow, even through tears, confusion, and exhaustion, your spirit continued reaching toward me. That was not accidental. That was my hand sustaining you. Even now, while you listen to these words, there are battles I am fighting for you that you cannot fully see yet. I am protecting your peace from influences designed to drain you. I am redirecting paths that would lead you into deeper confusion. I am exposing hidden motives around you little by little. I am preserving opportunities aligned with your future while removing distractions meant to delay your healing. You may not always understand the process immediately, but trust this. I see what you cannot see, and because I see the full picture, I know exactly how to guard your destiny. My beloved child, stop believing the lie that you survived by your own strength alone. Yes, you kept going. Yes, you fought hard. Yes, your endurance mattered. But behind your strength was my protection, carrying you through seasons where your own power would not have been enough. I was the reason your spirit did not completely collapse. I was the reason hope kept flickering even during darkness. I was the reason certain attacks failed to destroy your future. And now the warfare around your life is beginning to shift. The attacks are losing access to the fear they once used against you. Because your discernment is growing stronger, your spirit is waking up. Your confidence in my protection is deepening. And soon, my beloved, you will begin seeing yourself differently than ever before. Not through the eyes of fear, not through the wounds of your past, but through the identity I always intended for you to carry. Because the next part will reveal something powerful. The version of you that suffered is not the final version of you. Part 9. My beloved child. For so long, you have seen yourself through the eyes of your pain. You measured your worth by what hurt you. You identified yourself through rejection, disappointment, fear, anxiety, and survival. Without even realizing it, your wounds slowly became the mirror through which you viewed your entire life. You stopped seeing yourself as chosen. You started seeing yourself as damaged. You stopped seeing possibility. You started expecting disappointment. You stopped recognizing the strength I placed within you because suffering became louder than your true identity. But listen carefully now, because something sacred is beginning to happen inside your spirit. Something inside you is beginning to wake up. The version of you that suffered is not the final version of you. My beloved, pain may have shaped parts of your story, but pain does not define your destiny. The enemy wanted your wounds to become your permanent identity. He wanted you to spend your entire life believing you were nothing more than your trauma, your failures, your heartbreak, or your fears. But you are far more than what happened to you. Far more. You are not merely the person who was rejected. You are not merely the person who was abandoned. You are not merely the anxious version of yourself that struggled through dark nights. You are not merely the exhausted soul trying to survive another difficult season. Those moments were chapters. They were never your final identity. My child, there is a reason your spirit has recently felt restless. A reason certain old patterns no longer satisfy you. A reason your heart has begun longing for something deeper than survival. Your true identity is awakening. And the more it awakens, the harder it becomes to continue living beneath the weight of old lies. For years, fear convinced you to stay small. Pain convinced you to stay hidden. Disappointment convinced you to lower your expectations. But deep inside your spirit, something stronger has been quietly growing through every battle you survived. Strength, wisdom, discernment, resilience, spiritual authority. You do not fully recognize it yet, but the person emerging from these seasons is far stronger than the one who first entered them. The old version of you depended heavily on external validation. The awakened version is learning to stand in truth. The old version of you feared rejection constantly. The awakened version is beginning to understand that your value was never dependent upon human approval. The old version of you lived in survival mode. The awakened version is starting to believe peace is truly possible. And although the transformation feels unfamiliar sometimes, it is real. My beloved child, I know there are still moments when insecurity tries to return. There are still days where old fears whisper loudly. Certain wounds still ache unexpectedly. Some parts of your healing remain unfinished. But healing does not erase your identity. It reveals it. The stronger your spirit becomes, the more clearly you will begin seeing yourself the way I have always seen you. Not broken, not forgotten, not weak, but chosen. Created with purpose. Designed intentionally. Carrying gifts and strength you still underestimate. For we are God's masterpiece, created in Christ Jesus to do good works. Ephesians 2:10. Read that again carefully, my beloved. Masterpiece. Not mistake, not accident, not failure. Masterpiece. Even after everything you endured. Even after the nights you doubted yourself. Even after the seasons where fear clouded your vision. My view of you never changed. Others may have misunderstood you. Others may have underestimated your heart. Others may have spoken words that wounded your confidence deeply. But none of those voices carried authority over your true identity. Only my voice does. And I never called you worthless. I never called you hopeless. I never called you forgotten. I called you mine. Listen closely now. This next truth matters deeply. The enemy attacked your identity because identity determines direction. When a person forgets who they are, they begin settling for less than what was prepared for them. They tolerate unhealthy relationships. They remain trapped in fear. They shrink themselves to fit environments that suffocate their spirit. And that is exactly what darkness hoped would happen to you. The enemy wanted your pain to convince you that smallness was safety. But your spirit was never created to remain hidden forever. You were created to rise beyond the wounds, to heal beyond the fear, to become living proof that restoration is possible. My beloved child, the awakening happening inside you right now will begin changing everything slowly. You will start noticing things differently. The lies that once controlled your thinking will lose power. You will begin recognizing unhealthy patterns faster. You will stop apologizing for protecting your peace. You will become more selective about what voices you allow into your spirit. And some people around you may not understand the change, because awakening changes how you carry yourself. It changes what you tolerate. It changes how deeply you value your inner peace. The healed version of you will no longer chase places where your spirit feels constantly wounded. The awakened version of you will no longer beg for crumbs of love while ignoring your own worth. The stronger version of you will no longer confuse chaos with connection. That transformation is already beginning quietly inside you. You may not fully see it yet, but heaven sees it clearly. The way you think is changing. The way you discern people is changing. The way you respond to fear is changing. Even your prayers are changing because your spirit is awakening to deeper truth. My beloved, there is still more healing ahead, but do not overlook how far I have already brought you. The fact that you are still searching for truth after everything you endured proves that darkness failed to destroy the light inside you. That light remained alive through every storm, and now it is growing stronger. You survived seasons that should have buried your confidence permanently. Yet somehow your spirit kept reaching upward. Even through exhaustion, disappointment, and fear, something inside you refused to completely surrender. That was not weakness, that was destiny fighting to awaken. And now the awakening can no longer be stopped. Slowly, you are beginning to realize that your future is larger than your past pain. Your purpose is larger than your wounds. Your calling is larger than your fear. And once you truly understand who you are, the doors ahead of you will begin opening in ways you never expected. Because the next part will reveal something powerful. The breakthrough already started before you even noticed it. My beloved child, something is beginning to move around your life. Quietly, carefully, almost invisibly at first. But heaven is already shifting things into place for you. The breakthrough already started before you noticed. I know there were moments you believed nothing would ever change. After so many delays, disappointments, closed doors, and silent seasons, your heart became cautious. You stopped expecting good news because pain trained you to prepare for disappointment first. Even when hope tried to rise inside you, fear quickly whispered, "Do not get excited again." You became afraid of expecting too much, afraid of trusting too deeply, afraid of believing things could finally improve. But listen carefully now, my beloved. Your waiting season is beginning to break. Not all at once, not through chaos, but through divine movement happening quietly beneath the surface of your life. Conversations are already unfolding. Doors are already being prepared. Connections are already shifting. Healing is already beginning. Even now, while you listen to these words, heaven is arranging details you cannot yet fully see. That is why your spirit has felt restless lately. Something inside you senses change approaching. You may not fully understand it yet, but your soul recognizes movement before your eyes can confirm it. The heaviness that sat over your life for so long is beginning to lift slowly. The emotional fog that clouded your thinking is starting to clear. You are entering a season where clarity, opportunity, restoration, and peace will begin finding their way toward you. My beloved child, do not overlook the small shifts happening already. The new awareness inside your spirit, the sudden desire to move forward again, the growing exhaustion toward old patterns, the quiet hope returning unexpectedly, these are signs. Your breakthrough did not begin the moment you finally saw visible results. It began the moment your spirit started awakening again. That awakening opened the first door, and now more doors are beginning to follow. I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut. Revelation 3:8. Read that carefully, my beloved. No one can shut it. Not fear, not your past, not betrayal, not the mistakes you made while hurting, not the people who underestimated you, not even the seasons where you almost gave up. What I am opening for you now carries my hand upon it. And when heaven opens a door, human opposition cannot permanently close it. For too long, you believed every closed door meant rejection. But now you are about to discover the difference between doors humans closed and doors I protected for the right time. Because some opportunities arrive too early. Some relationships appear before healing is complete. Some blessings require preparation before they can truly be sustained. And my timing, although painful to wait for, always carries wisdom beyond your understanding. Listen closely now. This next part matters deeply. The season ahead will not look like the season behind you. The old version of your life was dominated by survival. This next season will begin teaching you restoration. The old season carried confusion. The next season carries clarity. The old season carried emotional exhaustion. The next season carries renewal. My beloved child, you have cried enough tears in hidden places. You have survived enough lonely nights wondering whether anything would ever shift. And now, slowly but surely, heaven is beginning to respond openly to prayers you whispered privately long ago. Not because I forgot them before, but because the appointed time is arriving now. Watch carefully over the next few days. Signs are about to appear. Unexpected conversations, unexpected peace, unexpected opportunities, unexpected confirmations. You may notice people suddenly treating you differently. Certain paths will begin opening naturally instead of forcing you to struggle endlessly. Some answers will come through quiet moments of clarity. Some healing will arrive through encounters you did not plan. Do not dismiss these things as coincidence. I am moving, and once heaven begins shifting your life, even small events can carry divine meaning. My beloved, one of the enemy's greatest lies was convincing you that your life would always remain stuck exactly where it was. He wanted hopelessness to become permanent inside your thinking. He wanted your spirit too exhausted to believe in new beginnings anymore. But darkness cannot stop what I have already declared over your future. You are not remaining trapped in survival forever. You are not remaining emotionally buried forever. You are not remaining hidden forever. The season is changing. Even now, certain chains are loosening around your spirit. Fear is losing its grip, confusion is weakening, and confidence is quietly beginning to rise again. You may still have moments of uncertainty. That is normal. Healing hearts often struggle to trust sudden hope at first. But do not allow fear to sabotage the new thing beginning inside you now. The opportunities approaching your life are not accidents. The people I am preparing to send into your journey are not accidents. The peace returning to your spirit is not accidental. This is restoration unfolding step by step. My beloved child, I know part of you still worries something will go wrong again. Pain trained your mind to expect disappointment. You learned to protect yourself emotionally by lowering expectations. But I am asking you gently now, open your heart again. Not recklessly, not blindly, but faithfully. Because if you remain emotionally locked inside old fear, you may struggle to receive the very blessings you prayed for during your darkest seasons. The breakthrough requires openness. Healing requires trust. And the future ahead requires courage. You are stronger than you realize now. The silent seasons prepared you. The battles strengthened you. The delays matured you. You are no longer the fragile version of yourself that first entered the storm. Something deeper lives inside you now. Wisdom, discernment, strength, spiritual stability. And those qualities will help you sustain the blessings that are approaching. My beloved child, heaven is not teasing you with false hope. I am preparing you for movement, real movement. The things that once felt permanently closed will begin shifting unexpectedly. Some prayers will be answered in ways completely different from what you originally imagined. Some blessings will arrive disguised as fresh starts rather than returns to the past. Trust the process unfolding now, because I am not restoring you backward. I am leading you forward. And soon, very soon, you will understand why certain painful seasons had to happen exactly the way they did. Because the next part will reveal something your weary heart desperately needs to hear. You were carrying burdens that were never yours to keep.